In 2024, we've learned that the power really does lie with the consumer and the people. We've watched as a lot of these woke films have failed, woke video games has failed, and been pushed back or changed, and it's all because we have actually gotten together, organized, and did something useful in these situations. Now, I still think that Disney has a lot of power, and a lot of these companies still have a lot of power, but I am, much like Jack Posobiec, very, very scared of Greta Gerwig taking the Chronicles of Narnia and adapting it. Now, this is the feminist director who has created the Barbie movie and all the controversy surrounding it, and I think she'll do a job with C.S. Lewis's books where it will not be a faithful adaptation of the books. It will not be something good. I actually enjoyed the Narnia movies back in the day, and it's really sad they didn't continue and didn't actually make all of them and market them all correctly after the first one. But The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe did so well. It is a blueprint just for Christian fiction and how it could be done in the future. Now, this is a pretty interesting thing, and we might be able to just do something with this if we contact the C.S. Lewis estate and actually put our minds together to make sure that this stays faithful to what C.S. Lewis envisioned, which is a property that stands for Christ, that is a good fiction for children to read, and we need to make sure that our culture is maintained and preserved. All right, leave a comment down below, hit the like and subscribe button, everybody, and join us here as we talk about all things in culture, especially when it comes down to science fiction and fantasy. I am a fantasy author myself, and this is my series, The Adventures of Baron von Monocle. It is a 6-book series right now, and it is a wonderful thing that you can share with your entire family. So check this out. It's in the description below. And it's an airship crew that goes out and fights monsters and does good in the world. And very heroic, very fun, and very good for adults, good for kids. It's good for all ages, and that's how I designed this series. It's available on ebook, print, and audio. Makes for a great Christmas gift. Thank you so much for supporting our fiction, my friends, and supporting everything that we've got going forward. That's how we're going to make the culture great again as well. It's in the description below for you to purchase. So the children's book author and political pundit Jack Posobiec called for fans of C.S. Lewis's Chronicles of Narnia book series to contact the estate to put a stop to the upcoming woke Netflix adaptation being helmed by Barbie director Greta Gerwig. He put a call to stop the adaptation, coming in response to Amy Pascal describing the film as a, quote, very new take. That's very scary. A new take on a classic. We know where this leads. And it's all about rock and roll. What? This is not Narnia whatsoever immediately. If you know how Narnia is, it's a classic tale. And there's no rock and roll or anything about boomer culture or anything about new culture or modern audiences involved in it. Perhaps even more than J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, C.S. Lewis wrote for a Christian audience very, very directly. Now, of course, Tolkien's Lord of the Rings is extremely Christian as well, and that's why they're doing everything in their power to subvert and destroy it. This is part of the move in culture. Part of it is to just take properties you love and bastardize them, change them, so that they're not recognizable to what they were before, so there's no fond memory of anything in culture. It is part of actually the communist agenda from the 1960s to remove Christendom and remove God from culture. It's been effective as they've done so, and they've taken control of the Hollywood elites, the establishment, academia, all of the reviews out there. Everything in the media just points in one direction, which is complete evil. Now, they want to do the same. They want to erase what C.S. Lewis did because C.S. Lewis is one of the greatest Christian thinkers of all time. He's one of the greatest fantasy writers of all time. And they know that this is going to just stay in the zeitgeist. They can't just erase it. They can't memory hole it. It's too big to fail. And so the only option they have to do with it is what they're doing with Lord of the Rings as well, is they're trying to change it for their modern audiences to be made in their image instead of something that's a book that does glory to God and is in the image of God. This is very, very intentional. And so when you put somebody like this in charge of the property, you know that there's a major problem, and you know when they start this and they're actually in the development of the film and they're talking about very new take and about rock and roll, what direction they're going with this. So in a interview with Pete Hammond at Deadline, Pascal was asked, how is Narnia? Has she been shooting that already? No, we start shooting in July. That's 7 months away. Is this a new take on Narnia? A very new take. It's all about rock and roll. Oh my gosh. So it's not going to be anything resembling Narnia. We could tell this right away. So Zephyr Chan asked, will Greta Gerwig respect Christian nature of the intellectual property she's trying to adapt? Updating the temporal settings, fine, but it's imperative that the Christianness kept honored even. I wouldn't even update that because that whole like World War II aspect of it with the bombings going on in the background is so visceral and so amazing. There's no need to update it. I mean, it's really sad that they want to do this all the time. Jack Posobiec immediately says no on this, and we know this. I mean, this is pretty obvious just based on what they're saying. It's pretty obvious on who's involved, and it's pretty obvious that Netflix is producing this, so you know exactly what's going to happen. It's going to be some weird mixed-race British children walking through things, and of course, some of the characters are going to be turned into like gays and lesbians in the background. You know exactly what they're going to do with this. Absolutely crazy. Next, he called for fans for Narnia to contact the C.S. Lewis estate to put a stop to the film. He says, everyone tweet at the C.S. Lewis estate and implore them to stop the woke Narnia project immediately. And this is where we can voice ourselves and make ourselves heard in advance of everything. If you don't know, this year, there's been a couple of things in gaming that actually have changed the culture, and not that many people had to be involved. We have about 50,000 subscribers here, and I've noticed that with these petitions and things changing, if about 100,000 people get involved, it shakes the course of things, and it shakes these companies. That seems to be the number that matters. So just this channel alone, the 50,000 of us here, we can probably make half a way to a difference and make it go viral enough to where we could actually make a difference if we all do this together. And I'm going to do this as soon as I get off this video here. I'm going to tweet at the C.S. Lewis estate and implore them. And I hope you do too. So these two situations this year happened with a game called Stellar Blade, where there was a bunch of censorship involved in the game. Now, a influencer called Grums put up a petition to change that, and it got changed. It actually did what they wanted on that level. On the next one was Ubisoft in Japan. It was dealing with Japanese gamers rejecting their woke new game called Assassin's Creed Shadows, which put a black samurai in ancient Japan as the protagonist, and they claimed it was historically accurate, etc., based on lies like usual, because they wanted to push the Black Lives Matter narrative on a Japanese audience. The Japanese rejected it. They put out a petition out there putting 100,000 plus signatures out saying they wanted the game canceled, that it was an affront to Japanese culture, and they were insulted by it. Ubisoft has since delayed the games, and there's rumors that they're changing a lot of the elements of it because they're so panicked by that reaction out there. So that number is a big deal. 100,000 people seems to be where people view it as real, and we can make a difference. It's been made a difference in video games. We can do it in movies as well. Jack Posobiec has a great strategy for this. The power is in the people, of course, and we do vote with our wallets. We've seen also this year things like Star Wars and Disney Star Wars have died because the Acolyte just didn't get ratings despite them trying to push their narrative and change Star Wars from what it was. And you can, of course, vote with your wallets by not watching something, and after the fact, it won't get made again. But we can also do this preemptively at this point and actually make ourselves mobilized as a movement, which is what I really appreciate. So you guys, let's do this together. Let's go on X and tweet at the C.S. Lewis estate. Tell them to stop making this project and make sure that it does honor to what C.S. Lewis would have wanted and does honor to God, and make sure that this Christian story remains what it should be when they adapt this kind of thing, because you know Netflix is going to do something completely ridiculous with this. All right, leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Thank you for being here. Hit the like and subscribe button, and please check out my fantasy book series, The Adventures of Baron von Monocle. I'm going to have this in the description below for you. Thank you so much for reading and making this a repeated bestseller. You guys have been amazing, and we'll be back soon.